Hello, welcome in everybody. We're going to be talking about energetic mechanics and the basic fundamentals behind what we're actually talking about when we make that statement. If you're someone who's been trying to connect with spirit for a very long time, but it's been difficult for you because you feel like your energy opens up, you have dreams, signs, synchronicities, everything's coming forward, but then all of a sudden it shuts down again. Maybe you're on your journey of awakening, others don't understand, and you're like, there's got to be some kind of mechanics behind what's actually going on. A way that I can process this information and differentiate what is my guides and what is me. And so that was the foundation of us creating energetic mechanics. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, of conversations my sister and I had with our own spiritual teams. Our goal there was to understand how to do this with clarity, connecting the spirit to move our lives forward, with an understanding of what's going on, and doing it in a way that's actually effective. So when we learned a new piece of information, it was immediate application. How does this work in our daily life? Not just is it cool information that we can hold in our head, but does it actually move us forward in a way that we're looking for? So I'm on TikTok now and I'll be responding to anyone that's joining us in the moment. Thank you if you're joining on YouTube. And I'm going to go into the mechanics behind what we do, how it works, and how you can actually find an understanding of working with your own spirit guides in a way that makes sense. First of all, to open the space, what can you do from the space that you're in if you have very little understanding of where to start? Like I was saying before, you have those dreams, you have those signs, you have those synchronicities. Where is my step one? Follow that intuition. What comes forward throughout the day? Because the first question we ask, and that you may be asking, is, well, what if my intuition is leading me all kinds of different directions? What if that voice in my head that I'm hearing says, don't do this, you shouldn't do that, you can't do this? That's not actually your intuition or your guides. Your guides, from the conversations we've had with them, they literally cannot hold the vibration of guilt, shame, fear, anything along those lines. So if you're trying to figure out, is this higher guidance or not? That's your immediate differentiation point. Is it helpful? Is it moving you towards a goal that you're excited about? Or is it fear-based? Because that is not your team. Is it something that's negative, trying to attack? That's something we assume off the bat too. No, not necessarily. Most of the time, it's just other energies we're interacting with in the space. Just because it's not aligned with our intention doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or wrong. It just means we need to clarify exactly what we're looking for so we can get a flow of information coming to help us move our life forward in a way that's productive. So when you're starting out, to summarize that, follow your gut, your intuition of what's drawing you forward, what is exciting you. And from there, log the results. Note what happens. How do you feel afterward? How does it affect your day? And then you can go, is this my guides? Is this my higher self? Is this just positive thoughts? What is it? At this stage, it doesn't even matter. If we want to take the logical route going down this, at this stage, does it matter? You're getting a thought, or you're getting higher guidance, or you're getting your guides coming forward, you're taking an action, you're seeing a result. Feeling intuitively, taking action, and logging what comes forth. That is how I would initially go into how can I start creating a base of understanding with my team, with higher guidance, with a mode of flow of information that will actually help me. From there, you're like, okay, I got that. I got a base of who's around me, and I've started doing work with dreams. I can get an understanding that I have guides with me. What now? This is where we jump into the mechanics behind what's actually going on. If you've seen our regular lives, Isabel will be channeling and bringing in spirit constantly. Good to see you too. This isn't guessing. This isn't by chance. It's also not just because of the hours she's put in. A lot of it is the underlying mechanics of making sure her space is clean and clear. Making sure she has a space to work with where she has full control. This goes for both of us, but I'm honing in on her because she channels during the lives. So making sure she has a space for herself where she knows exactly who's coming in and out. Inviting in, and I want this to be so clear, because this is one of the core things that I wish I knew when I was younger. And starting in all this and wanting to learn anything and bring everything in. Any spirit that I saw, I want to bring them in for help and support to get me to where I wanted to go. More does not equal better. More does not equal better. That is so key. That is so key. And if there's one thing to take away from this whole thing, narrow your focus with your intentions on what you want to create in your manifestations, and also with what guides you're looking to connect to. If you don't know the names of your guides, I'm going to go over roles here in a minute of how they can support you. If you don't yet know, you can start with, absolutely, quality over quantity. You can start with the guides that are there from my heart space. You have a team in spirit. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. You have a team in spirit that came in with you in this lifetime. They came specifically to support you. They came because you asked them to, and they came because they wanted to. All three of those things. And so when we go to them directly, it's like going to a close friend that can give guidance, that can help you regulate your nervous system, and that can help you feel excited about what's coming forward. Versus going to a large mass of collectives, when we say in spirit, right? Collectives is a big thing now. Instead of going to thousands of people in an auditorium and saying, essentially holding a mic and saying, what should I do? What are you going to get? If they all responded at once, what would you get? Noise. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how helpful they may seem. If we can't differentiate that, thousands of voices turns into no voices because it's overwhelming. So thousands of voices coming back at you because we're asking for anything and anything to answer winds up with, I'm shut down. Right? That's when we ask ourselves the question, why did I stop receiving? Or why isn't this information coming forward? It very well may be your own system protecting you from too much information. We all want to start with the third eye, but remember, creating a baseline from the heart space, clearing your space, understanding where you want to go. And I'm going to talk about the mechanics today. Isabel's not here today, so it's a little bit different on how we can actually start to do that. And so there's things that I'm going to talk about today that we can do a little bit of together, and it's going to be experiential. There's some things that we do uniquely within sessions to help you create that base. And I'm going to explain what the differentiation is between the two and where those are. So here's what I drew out for today. Forgive my third grade level writing, por favor. But energetic mechanics, these are the three main things that we go into when we're looking into the space, okay? And this is probably inverted for you, so I apologize, but I'll read them out. So when looking at this with energetic mechanics, the first three things that we do when going into somebody else's space is making sure they have a clear avenue for release. Making sure they have a clear avenue for release. Let me explain what that means, because it's not talked about ever. I don't know if I've ever heard this from anybody else but our team. So this is why I'm bringing it forward for everyone that's on. If your root chakra, most people's is turned upwards, it was a protective mechanism that you placed on yourself for the right reasons, because you were taking in so much information that your body did not know how to process. And so how do we help to fix that? Is what we can do is start to turn that root in the proper direction so we have flow. What does that mean? All the racing thoughts that we constantly have, all those heavy, intense emotions in the body, all of those loops that we go through where we take 3 steps forward and the ground always falls out from under us. It helps to create a pathway to release some of these loops. Give us an avenue where we can do work that actually sticks, because a lot of you on here, I'm assuming, have done some work in this field. You may be a therapist and you work with others constantly. You may be a Reiki master. You may be working in pranic healing. You may be just starting your journey. And through any of these, whatever practice that you're taking, energetically, if there's not a way and an avenue to flow out information, your body will continuously be a storage container. So if your body is filled up to the max with junk, it is going to be very hard to bring in the new, the positive, what you're actually looking for. And so what we do within our sessions is we create an avenue to turn that route. Second thing we do is called a veil of forgetfulness. The veil of remembering our past lives. What does that also come with, though? Remembering our past traumas. Remembering things that happened with us in past lives that may not even be relevant to ours. So this is a pitfall of shadow work. So we go into our own life and where did I go wrong? What should I have changed? What should I have fixed? But when you go deep enough into shadow work, here's what you realize. It doesn't stop at your lifetime. All of a sudden, you're going into the next lifetime back. Well, where did this go wrong? Where did that go wrong? You're going 2 lifetimes back. You're going 10 lifetimes back. And all of a sudden, shadow work becomes an endless cycle. That's why we bring forward the idea of future-focused movement. It's very intentional. That's what our guides have taught us. Because we can go back and back and back and back and back and back, and that can be an endless loop that we live in forever. Healing it all could take the next 20 lifetimes. So what we do with that, right? What do we do with that? Is we go to that veil that's there and we seal it up. Why? Because, at least for the time being, it gives you space to breathe. If you are trying to think and process and move forward in your life, and you constantly have all these negative thoughts or energies spiraling in from your past, guess what? What we're going to say from today on, from sealing this veil, right now, doesn't have to be relevant. Right now, we can choose who we are in this moment and move forward without all of this weighing on us. And that's what our spiritual team helps us do. Spirit guides, an energetic team. We'll get more into that in a minute. The basic concepts we've gone over so far: creating an avenue to flow and sealing the past so we can move forward. If we want to revisit it later, we absolutely can. But the idea is we need enough room to breathe so we can move and at least create some steps that go together. I couldn't think of the word for it. But steps that go together that help you move from one step to the other without the floor falling out from under you. And then the third key that we do when working with others in a long-term fashion is help the ancestors. This also is not something that's talked about. We are currently writing about this. A lot of focus in the spiritual space goes to bringing in the ancestors for support, bringing in more, bringing in all of the ancestors, all of the collective, all of these beings to help us do what? Right? It may be something really specific, but if it's something really specific, meet new friends, get a job, move forward in your life in some very tangible way, all of the ancestors is going to be 1,000 voices talking at once that have all kinds of differing intentions. And so it's literally almost the same as going into a room of 1,000 people once again and saying, which job should I take? They will all have a different opinion because they all live different lives. They will all have a different opinion because they've all lived other lives or have other experiences. They're ancestors. They've been on Earth. Is there a way to help this? Yeah, I wouldn't bring any of it up if there wasn't a way to support it. What's a way to work through this? Is what we do within those initial sessions as well, is to give those ancestors a path to release. Just like you've been holding on from years of stuff through past lives, so have they. And when they have an avenue and a clear channel to be able to release what's been burdening them, they can truly be supportive to you and have one voice. How does that make sense, having one voice when there's thousands of them? Because their goal becomes unified. They're not in your space anymore to tell you what to do, to tell you what you have to do, or to try to figure out how to fix their own energy, because they're kind of subconsciously doing that at the same time. But instead, they're going, I see your heart. Because they've released their own stuff and they get to come back, they can go, I see your heart, and I want to help you in whatever way you would like to go. That's what working with energies that are cleared feels like. It doesn't feel like you have to do this, you have to do that, don't do that, this will lead you down a bad path. It feels like I am here supporting you in what your heart desires. What do you need? So when you get those thoughts and you're wondering, is this my guides? Do those thoughts sound that supportive? Whatever you need, I'll support you in this. Here are my suggestions so we can help you along the path. That's a general tone that a guide takes from doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channelings with Isabel and communicating with my team myself. We haven't heard tones, ever, where they go, you have to do this, you need to do this, this is the path you should be going down. If that ever happens, they have not yet released their own burdens. So that will never be a guide. A guide is always supportive, is always there to help you move forward, is always, most importantly, there to help you find your own truth. There's no other way I can put that out there. They're there to help you find your own truth and live your life in a way that excites you. That excites you. Cheerleader vibes, absolutely. Yes. And so, okay, that's a basic understanding of what we do when we work with people long-term to get them cleared, right? 3 things. Give them avenue to flow. That was a lot of words, but give an avenue to flow. Seal the past of what's not relevant, and then help the ancestors clear themselves. So they're actually helping you find your truth, not theirs, because that's why they should be there for you, just like a guide. With that being said, from there, we go into the heart space. Feeling your truth. What excites you? What draws you forward? Where do you want to go in your life to create from? Where do you want to create from? What do you want to create? How does that feel for you? All of the answers are here. And so the core of the next piece of what our work is letting the heart inform the brain. Letting the heart inform the brain. What does the brain do? Past. What do we do wrong? What could we have fixed? How could this have gone better? All avenues that could go wrong, right? When we're going into a situation. What does the heart do? It's future focused. It's harder to grasp onto because it's not as tangible as a thought that you remember happening in the past. It's something that has not happened yet, or that is happening in the present. And if you're not clear enough to be in that presence, it is a lot more difficult. And so all of this work is structures and practices that are created by your own teams and your guides to help remind you to come back here, to help remind you to lead from the heart and have the brain follow, to help remind you that you have support around you to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. And so what do we rely on in the heart space that's very different from working with the mind, that's very different from a lot of therapeutic models. Finding those positive anchor points that we can put in here. We can still go to the past. But what was a point in our past that went well? That excited us, that truly brought us joy? And if you're someone that's like, I had a really rough childhood, there is a moment you can find. It doesn't even have to be a whole day. Where is a moment as a child where you felt that pure joy? What if, right? What if the brain likes to go into the past? What if every time the brain wandered, instead of going into what I did wrong or what's going to happen to me or whatever it is, what if it pulled up a positive memory? Think about how drastically that would change your life in the moment. Think about how drastically things would shift. Every time your brain just went on autopilot, the autopilot was to something positive that happened. What if the autopilot of our brain was following the heart and it would naturally bring up things that you're excited to move towards? Things that you want to create. Avenues that you want to go down. What if you constantly had a notebook open because you were so excited on what you wanted to create that you're suddenly filling out full notebooks of things that you want to create in this life, people you want to meet, places you want to go, ways that you can create these avenues, a business that you could start. Instead of, I can't, I shouldn't, I won't. It's remember that time when this went well when I was younger? And then what do I want to create? Hey, what if I did this? What if I tried that? Me journaling right now, I love it. Right? That is a whole different, even feeling into that energy. If you feel, take a second to feel into what that would be like. If the default of your brain was things that I did well when I was younger, memories just popped up constantly. How you used to play in the sand, go bike riding with friends. The time when it snowed real hard by your house and you got to run out and play in the snow and you were out all day long, your shoes and socks got wet, but you didn't even care. You were just giggling and laughing the whole time. That time where you found all those seashells at once, those big conch shells, and you got to take some home, and how excited you were for finding those. You knew how rare they were. That sand dollar that you picked up and you brought back to the house. You got to show to everyone you knew. And then the next moment you're going, what do I want to create? And where do I want to go with this? What if I applied to this job? Well, right, and here's a clear train of thinking that our mind can go into. Well, I'm not good enough for that, or I don't think I can do that, or my body gets really anxious when I start thinking about going into this phase. And this is where we're going to lead towards the last part of our tools here. Now, there's more to this, but this is kind of where we're going to stop at for today, I think, is we're going to go into the guides. We get to the point where we're like, okay, I can feel what I'm excited about. New job, meeting new people, a class I want to take, maybe starting business. But my body almost feels like it can't handle it. It almost feels like I'm going into overdrive. And no matter how many positive thoughts I bring forward, 10 negative ones come in, as well as my body churning up. So I don't even know what to think. That's why we came into this life with guides. That's why we have an energetic team. That's why we're not alone. Common thing we get is, well, why do I have to work with guides? And is it a new religion you're trying to start for people to follow guides? You don't have to do anything, right? Obviously. But we took an approach coming into spirituality. Good to see you, Joe. We took an approach coming into spirituality that wasn't, I should be following guides. It was, what is going on here? And can we work with them in a way that's actually effective to move our lives forward? So why do we have guides? Because our body is trying to process all this different energy. Our brain's running 1,000,000 miles an hour. And we don't even know where to go because we don't have clarity. Those are a lot of things in front of us to deal with. How would we be expected to do that alone? Thankfully, what we found is we're not. We're just using the wrong mechanics to connect with the team. And by wrong, I don't mean morally wrong. By wrong, I simply mean it's just not how our body can process information. With that, let me explain some roles of guides that we've found to be extremely helpful to us to move our life forward, and that have come forward for others that we've worked with for the past several years that we've been doing this. 1, an aspect. Okay, and these are all things that we've created through energetic mechanics. We didn't learn through books. We didn't learn through other teachers. We learned purely through trial and error and learning directly from our team. How can we make this actually effective? Not only to us, but uniquely to you. How can we create a system where you can make it your own when we start working with you to understand how your guides can come into play, how they can uniquely help your system, and how you can find something that works for how you think, how your body processes information, and what excites you. And these are the types of guides that have come forward for us in all of this turmoil to help us feel supported and to actually move forward. An aspect, and I know this is going to be turned around, so sorry about that, but this is an aspect. An aspect of what? An aspect of your higher self. Your higher self is a very broad being that covers all different lifetimes that you lived, potentially all that you're currently living, not in your physical body right now. That's too much information for you to be able to process. Just like having whole collectives around is too much information to receive from. So how did we narrow that down? An aspect of the higher self, a version of your higher self that you can actually speak with and have a conversation with. It is different from the totality of it, but it's a way that's actually manageable, that your body and your mind can process when you start to build a relationship with them. So an aspect of the higher self is basically the part of you that organized all this, that organized the guides that are in your life. Everybody has guides in their life. It's again about learning the mechanics to connect, but they put them into place initially. You put them into place before you came into this life, and that's really what I'm referring to. With that, they have a broad scope and understanding of what's going on and can help bring you clarity and ways to move forward. A manager of your energetic space, we also call a filter. We have 2 interchangeable roles here, a manager or a filter. Why is that role necessary within guides? Because a manager needs to manage the team. Again, it's a system that you can use, completely up to you, but you can use to organize the information so it's more streamlined, so it doesn't feel so chaotic, and so you don't have so many ups and downs or wondering where information is coming from. Admin, absolutely. They can be your one single guide. If you were to have one guide, only one to go to, this would be your guide, your filter or your manager. Why? Because they can bring in any other guides that are needed to perform a task. Some people call it a primary guide, but that doesn't really describe what they do. That's why we use filter and manager. It gives a scope of what their role is. Other ones that we've found commonly in people's spaces, an upholder. It's a protector. But again, that role does not describe the totality of what they can do. A protector defends against. An upholder, same role that I'm speaking of, but different language around it so we can understand how they can help you. An upholder knows your intentions because you define them. That's important. When you define your intentions, how you want to feel, what you want to create, what you want to embody, they help you uphold that, and therefore, anything that's not relevant, they move back. So asking a protector to defend my space means nothing. And I just want to be so direct with that. I want my protector to defend my space. they will not be able to function with that. We need to know what you're trying to uphold, what energies you're allowing in your space, and what energies you're feeling that you want to keep out. More definition, more clarity, more intentionality gives them instruction to act on your behalf. Why intentions are important, this is a whole nother topic, but a brief segue here is if we're thinking of getting a job, this is kind of how protectors think. They need really specific instruction. If we're thinking about getting a job and we say, get me a job, no idea what that means. That could be any type of job. It could be doing something for absolutely free. It could be working for a CEO somewhere. It could be anything in between. What state are you talking about? What country are you talking about? We don't even know. So when we're talking about protection, what are we trying to uphold? What energies do we want to uphold for ourselves? And what energies may not align for us? This is why this is all repetition and practice and training your energetic team, because they are very skilled, but they won't act by default until we continuously define how we are looking for them to help. One word of why: free will. They won't overstep it. That's why. With that being said, there's two more energies that I want to bring forward today that you'll see on our pages. Isabel channels these different guides in, and she's usually on here bringing them forward. A light bringer is another. This is an energy that reminds you, like I was mentioning earlier, of your childlike excitement, your childlike wonder, those core memories you had as a kid where you're just laughing and smiling. They help you find a path that is exciting to you and remind you of what's already within. I slow that down because it's important. What's already within. That childlike wonder, curiosity, excitement that's there. Just like all of these guides I'm bringing forward. They are, yes, an energy that is outside of you, also within you, that can support you. It's a little complicated, but they are really energies that can support you, and also they are a reflection of what's already within. That's why we don't need guides. But that's why they're an extreme support to us if we so choose, because they can remind us of who we really are, right? We have the ability to tap into higher guidance. We have the ability to organize and manage our space. We have the ability to uphold our standards throughout the day. We have the ability to act in our childlike excitement, and we have the ability to bring in the balance of nature, which is our last guide. Creating balance. This is mine right here. For those who may not know, I'm an artist who paints out spiritual guides. I do digital art, and I draw them out on my tablet and color them on my tablet and then print them on this printer behind me. With that being said, this is my nature guide right here. A monk figure in my space. And this role reminds you how to return back to your center. Reminds you to be present in the moment. And I'm speaking slower because I can feel his energy present. And reminds you of who you really are. And so, why are guides here, and what is the point to all of this? Because there's more to tools on how we can release, replace, and move forward that come with energetic mechanics. But the core of what I wanted to get across today is that if you've had trouble connecting, it's not because it's a fault of you. It's a lot of misinformation out here on how the mechanics actually work, and that you have to go to someone else always to help you get to the next stage. Or if you meet this guru or this shaman or this person, they'll enlighten you. Really, it's about you and your journey. Where are you trying to go? How do you embody more of yourself? And how do you start connecting in with those guides that remind you of who you are and what you're creating within this life? Because what do we all want? To live a more happy and fulfilled life. So whether it's right? I know we all expect it to be a guide floating down from the sky where we visually picture them, have a straight conversation with them, and then move from there. But it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to wait to that point. You don't have to get to that point at all to be able to work with them continuously and move your life forward. When you create an avenue for flow, releasing the past so you can move forward, helping to clear the space around you, and then working directly with those guides that are there from your heart space, when you set intentions, you can start to feel the alignment. Your mind is feeling where you want to go because it's led by the heart. The heart has space because we opened it up. And the guides know what you want because we continuously set intentions towards our goals. And that is the fundamentals of energetic mechanics. Thank you all for joining on TikTok. I know this was shorter. And thank you for those who are watching after on YouTube. This is going to go up on our YouTube channel that we're just getting started here now. And if you want to work with us individually, what we do in an initial jumpstart session, first session ever we're getting in, Isabel brings forward your guides and brings them forward so you can understand what their roles are and what their names are to build that initial bridge and connection. And my name's Josiah, I help to hold and open the space up. So my energy is there to uphold your truth, and I use my team specifically for that. She brings in information for you, both done out of clarity. Who are your guides present? How can they support you? And she actually channels them in so you can have a direct conversation with them. You are worthy. You're capable than a lot more than you think. And if you've been caught in a loop for quite a while, there is a way out. There is a way out. If you're looking for a jumpstart session, DM us so we can get you started. Just DM the word jumpstart and we'll reach out for our first initial session. If you're on YouTube, feel free to click on our email and link with us that way. Thank you so much for everyone joining today. And we'll catch you all tomorrow.